all year, we sort of said, okay, well, no problem. They'll beat New Orleans, and then we'll see what happens. Well, not so fast.
Yeah, and if the problem with the Suns is without Booker, Chris Paul's the only real offense creator on that team. Everybody else sort of stays in their lane. Yeah, you can throw it into 8 and he can get a quality shot for himself. Bridges and Crowder are more spot-up guys or slashers. The guys that create offense are Chris Paul and Devin Booker. So now you've lost one of your main guys, and now Chris Paul, I think, is going to get worn down as this series goes on, the way that they're starting to play him. If you recall the finals a year ago, Chris Paul had his way early. What happened? Drew Holiday started picking him up 94 feet. When you have a guard this age and you start to get picked up full court every single possession, it is going to start to wear on you and grind on you, and that's the concern I have right now. You started to see it a little bit last night. Look, Suns have 2 out of 3 at home. They're still the number 1 seed for a reason. It's not just Devin Booker. They're a great defensive team. They've got great role definition on this team. But right now, there's no doubt. New Orleans is sensing that they can win this series. Phoenix has an absolute fight on their hands.
This is not a conversation the Suns were expecting us to be having in April. That is for sure. So there's only been no sweeps so far in the NBA playoff first round. But that could change tonight. And that brings us to the biggest story in the sport by far. And that is the Nets on the brink of elimination after being stifled by the Celtics, particularly Kevin Durant in Game 3. According to our advanced analytics, KD took his fewest dribbles per touch in a game since November, only took 1 shot in the fourth quarter, and Kyrie Irving was no better. 0 for 7 from 3, tied for the most attempts without a make in his career. He made just a 1 shot in the fourth quarter for the second straight game, and then adding injury to insult. Ward's reporting that Ben Simmons has been ruled out for Game 4. News that was met with surprise and disappointment in Brooklyn, and that says nothing about the reaction of our Stephen A. Smith.
The fact of the matter is that there's always an excuse. And in the end, what it comes down to is the Brooklyn Nets are not better because of him. The Philadelphia 76ers were not better because of him. The LSU Tigers in college were not better than him. Who's he going to quit on next? And then on top of it all, you file a grievance to get $20 million of your money back, knowing you didn't play 1 damn second. This is a travesty. And when a collective bargaining agreement comes into play, when the negotiations rather come into play, and the owners are sitting across the table from these players, they're going to have a pay-for-play stipulation in that contract if they can pull it off. And you know what it's going to be named? It's going to be named the Ben Simmons rule. You're going to have a separate rule for Kyrie Irving. You're going to have a separate rule for Ben Simmons. And they will deserve it, because at some point in time, you are hurting the product when you don't want to show up and play. I'm done with this. I'm done with all of these rationales for Ben Simmons. It's sickening.
He literally walked off after that. He was so aggravated. We were here all weekend. And look, so we just talked about the Suns, and they had this unbelievable season, and now we're saying, I can't believe we've gotten to this point. Well, the Nets had the most drama-filled, ridiculous season that we've ever seen a team have, but we thought they'll put it together when it matters because they'll care. Here they are, and nothing could be further from the case. I'll go to you first on the Simmons of it all. But clearly there is surprise. Woj used the word surprised and disappointed legs. What is your reaction to the Ben Simmons not playing tonight situation?
I'm neither of those things. I'm not surprised. I didn't expect to see the guy all year. Okay, now look, at some point, if they come back miraculously and win this series, at some point Ben Simmons got to play in the postseason, because it sounds like he was on the precipice of playing. So at some point, he's going to have to take the court. But I think the best thing in his best interest and the Nets is get to the summer, hit the reset button, get your mind right on playing basketball and wanting to be a part of this, and then come back with a fresh start at the beginning of next year. Because what I see right now is a guy that has completely lost credibility. He's lost credibility not only with his teammates and with the organization, he's lost credibility league-wide and anybody that follows the NBA. That's what he has become. He's the butt of jokes. He is a guy now that we're more interested in what this guy is wearing on the bench, and he's trying to make a spectacle of himself, sitting up by the coaches wearing that outfit that he wore the other night. If I'm Ben Simmons right now, I'm doing everything I can to stay out of the picture until I am ready to play. Do not bring any attention to yourself right now until you're ready to help your teammates on the court. But for me, this is a credibility issue, and right now I look at that team, and even watching his interactions with his teammates, it just looks awkward. Like these guys are rolling their eyes like, come on, man, I really don't want to hear from you because you're not here trying to help us. And I think that, to me, is the bottom line. Does he love basketball enough to want to come out and play? And right now, I don't think he does. So he's got to get, to me, to an off season, get himself right, physically, mentally ready to come back and act like he loves this game and try to help his team. Because right now, I'm not disappointed or surprised. I didn't expect this guy to play.
That's well said. But the reality is that reset button I thought was supposed to be when he got out of Philadelphia. That's when it was going to hit the reset button and get to Brooklyn. And here we are months later, and he still hasn't played. Get me Windy back here. What do you think of this, Brian Windhorst, as you follow this and talk to people around the league? What are they saying?
Greeny, when I checked in on this yesterday, basically what I got was exasperation. The people involved here are exasperated by this saga because that is what it is. And I got the feeling yesterday it was like waving a white flag. I know that this might have the appearance of Ben Simmons saying, I don't want to play, we're down 3-0, but he woke up yesterday with his back hurting. That is what I have been told, and it's just as simple as that. He just didn't feel comfortable going and playing for the first time in 11 months with the way his back felt. That's the bottom line. It's extraordinarily disappointing because he had, I would say, genuine optimism for at least a week he was going to play in this game. He wasn't even ruling himself out for Game 3 on Friday or Saturday, whatever it was. And so the Nets were expecting to get this. He was expecting to play. It was another kneecapping moment for what's been a season of kneecapping moments for Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the floor Saturday night. We did the show from there, and I watched every second that he was out there in the pregame. And look, he's moving fine. He doesn't shoot. He doesn't attempt, even in warm-ups. He's not throwing the ball in the direction of the basket, but he was throwing passes and moving around. He looked fine, but look, it is what it is. In the meantime, that was not their problem on Saturday night. Their problem was that whoever it is that has stolen Kevin Durant, please return him because his team is being humiliated. A player of his historical greatness to be completely silenced the way he has in this series. He has 19 made field goals and 17 turnovers in 3 games in this series. Legs, how do you put into perspective what has happened to him?
First 2 games, I saw a guy that was being hit with a lot of traps, blitzes. He was getting hit from his blind side. He was getting physically mauled a little bit, and I thought that affected him. Game 3 was a different story. I saw a guy that was completely indecisive. And I haven't seen Kevin Durant look like that since his rookie year. It looks to me like now he is anticipating where the next defender is coming from before he even processes what's in front of him. Kevin Durant right now can make this game very simple. Let's get back to being a raw scorer. Forget playmaking right now. Put that on Kyrie Irving. Right now, Kevin Durant needs to get himself going as a bucket getter. He needs to show his team that he is operating in a good place. I know playing with star players over the years as a role player, when your best players are operating at a high level and they're getting their thing done, you can then relax, stay in your lane, and do what you do. Kevin Durant needs to set the tone early in the game. Go quicker when you catch it. Don't think about where the next defender is coming from. Attack gap seams, get to the line. Use Boston's physicality against them early in the game to get yourself to the line, get your team in the bonus, and more importantly, put your mind in a place where it's all about full throttle, foot on the gas, aggressiveness. He was so tentative with everything that he did in Game 3. It was shocking to see a player of his level look that way, that unsure of himself. I think Kevin Durant knows it. One thing about him, he's owning all of this after every game. I do think he's got a game in him here where he's going to come out and be special, but he's got to put everything to the side other than attack when I get the basketball immediately and don't wait on all these bodies sometimes that aren't even there. I think he's seeing ghost a little bit on that court.
Well, if that game isn't tonight, then it's not going to be until the fall, so we'll see what happens. Windy, your perspective on KD so far?
3 things real quick. Number 1, the Celtics are playing some of the greatest defense I've ever seen in my 20 years covering the NBA. I've never seen a scheme with personnel on a player like Durant. It's totally taking him out of his game. Secondly, I just think he's tired. You go back and look at the last couple of weeks of the regular season, he had to play 42, 43 minutes night after night after night just to get him into this. And some of his mistakes I see as fatigue mistakes. And third, and I know this is difficult for the Nets to understand or to grasp, they're just not that good of a team. Their record with Kyrie and Durant this year is 10-9. It's partially because of the way they play together. It's partially because of the players that are around them. It's partially because of injuries. They're just an average team. They're an average team playing an awesome team and getting throttled. That is what is happening. That's it. That's all.
and they could be put away tonight. Guys, stay close by. Much more NBA as we continue this morning. In the meantime, oh, by the way, the NFL draft is 3